Welcome to our deep dives into Robin Sharma's The World Changers Manifesto.
Oh, this is a good one.
It is right. I'm really excited to dig into this one with you. We're diving into personal and professional growth here. And so far, this book's got a lot of punch.
It does. It really does.
The 7,000 Ferraris philosophy, cemetery walking, that kind of stuff really caught my eye. What really stood out to you at the beginning?
You know, it's interesting how Sharma frames this whole journey. It's not so much about chasing external success, but it's about reconnecting with what he calls this innate greatness that he believes we all have. He says we've been kind of conditioned to accept these limits.
Right, yeah.
And instead, we should be shedding those beliefs and really tapping into our true potential.
Yeah, I love that idea of returning to greatness. I feel that. I feel like I get so caught up in the daily grind. Sometimes I lose sight of my bigger aspirations.
Absolutely.
It's almost like we've traded our wants and cans for this long list of shoulds and have-tos.
Yes, and speaking of shedding those limitations, his emphasis on overcoming fear really grabbed my attention. And he doesn't just talk about it abstractly. He actually shares his own experience facing some pretty harsh criticism when he first wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari.
Oh, wow.
Imagine being told your work is pure garbage.
Ouch.
Right. But he persevered, he self-published, and you know the story, he ultimately achieved this phenomenal success.
It's such a great example of how taking action can often dissolve that fear.
Absolutely.
I think about times I've let fear hold me back, and I wonder what might have been different if I just took that first step.
Yeah.
He argues that fear is often based on perception, and it's only by taking action that we can truly assess the situation.
That's right. And he also highlights the power of belief.
Okay.
He uses the story of his fifth-grade teacher, Cora Greenaway, who saw potential in him when others didn't. Really underscores how impactful someone's belief in us can be, especially during those formative years. That kind of encouragement, it's a real game changer.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about the 5 a.m. club.
Okay.
I have to admit, waking up at 5 a.m. sounds a bit extreme to me.
Yeah.
But he claims it's the key to maximizing productivity.
He does.
What's the real science behind this?
Well, his 20-20-20 formula, it's not just about willpower. It's grounded in the science of how our brains work.
Right.
He suggests dedicating those first 20 minutes to intense exercise, which, by the way, triggers the release of BDNF, a protein that actually promotes the growth of new brain cells.
Really?
Enhances cognitive function.
So it's not just about feeling energized.
No.
You're actually priming your brain for learning and creativity.
Exactly.
Wow.
And then the next 20 minutes are for reflection.
Okay.
Allows for clarity and intention setting. And then the final 20 minutes are dedicated to learning and personal growth. This could be reading, listening to a podcast, working on a skill, anything that helps you grow. He argues that by combining these elements, you create what he calls a gargantuan and competitive advantage by accomplishing so much before the rest of the world even wakes up.
It is a compelling argument.
Yeah.
I do wonder how sustainable that level of intensity is for the long haul.
Yeah.
It makes me think about that idea, scheduled increments, that he also talks about in the book.
Yeah.
Is that maybe a more realistic approach for most people?
Scheduled increments are all about intentional time management.
Okay.
And Sharma argues that instead of relying on motivation, which can be, fleeting,
Yeah, absolutely.
we should schedule dedicated blocks of time for focused work on our most important goals. So it's a way of making progress even on days when we don't feel particularly inspired.
I like that. That resonates with me more than trying to maintain a 5:00 a.m. routine every single day. It's about finding what works best for your own individual needs and rhythms.
Absolutely.
Speaking of finding what works, Sharma debunks the myth of natural talent with this really interesting story about the basketball player Bill Bradley.
Oh, yeah.
So it wasn't just talent that made Bradley a star, it was his relentless dedication to practice and improvement.
Right. He spent hours each day practicing, analyzing game tapes, constantly refining his skills.
It's a really powerful example of how, as Sharma puts it, genius is not the realm of genetics. Genius is the realm of practice.
It's incredibly empowering to realize that greatness is something we can cultivate,
Yes.
not something we're just simply born with.
Absolutely.
And that brings us to another intriguing concept, the 7,000 Ferraris philosophy. Can you explain what Ferraris have to do with personal growth?
Well, it's all about the power of focus.
Okay.
Ferrari intentionally limits its production to 7,000 cars per year. to maintain exclusivity and quality.
Okay.
They're not trying to be everything to everyone.
And Sharma applies this principle to personal growth. He suggests that we should identify those few crucial things we truly want to excel at and dedicate our energy to those rather than spreading ourselves too thin.
So it's about being strategic with our efforts.
Yes.
And choosing to go deep in a few areas.
Yes.
Instead of trying to be a jack of all trades.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that our time and energy are finite resources and choosing to invest them wisely.
Yeah.
Think about your own goals. Are you spreading yourself too thin? Could focusing on just 2 key areas dramatically increase your impact?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
And that actually reminds me of Sharma's model of the Titan's decline, which suggests that even the most successful people can become irrelevant if they fail to adapt and evolve.
Right.
He outlines these stages of decline.
Yeah.
And it starts with complacency and arrogance, which leads to a resistance to change and ultimately ends in obsolescence. And he uses that story of Sam Walton, the founder of Walmart. Even after achieving this massive success, he was constantly seeking new knowledge and ways to improve.
Wow.
He even measured aisles in a Brazilian grocery store.
Really?
Always looking for ideas to implement back home.
That's amazing.
It really highlights the importance of staying curious and open to those new ideas.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even when we achieved a certain level of success, we can't afford to become complacent.
Yeah.
Thinking about your own work, are there any signs of these stages kind of creeping in? How can you stay ahead of the curve and avoid falling into that trap of irrelevance?
That is an important question to ask ourselves regularly. I mean, the world's changing at an unprecedented pace.
Yeah,
What worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. So continuous learning, adaptations are essential for staying relevant and achieving that long-term success.
absolutely. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about Sharma's emphasis on giving.
Okay.
This is where he moves beyond self-improvement,
Yeah.
and he focuses on the impact we have on others. Right. He argues that true leadership involves generosity, an abundance mentality, and a focus on helping others. He encourages us to shift from a taker mentality to a giver mentality,
Right.
recognizing that true success is not just about personal achievement, but it's about making a positive contribution to the world around us.
It's a powerful reminder that, our lives are all interconnected. And when we focus on providing value to others, we create this kind of ripple effect.
Yeah.
That benefits everyone. It's not just about altruism. It's about recognizing that our own success is often tied to the well-being of others.
Exactly. And this leads to another concept I found particularly intriguing.
Yeah.
The idea of creating perfect moments.
Ooh, I like that.
I love this idea.
Yeah.
It's about finding those moments of joy and fulfillment in everyday life. It's not about waiting for something big to happen. It's about being intentional and creating those special moments that bring meaning and joy to our lives and to the lives of those around us.
It's beautiful.
He emphasizes the importance of actively designing happiness rather than passively waiting for it to happen.
Yes.
He shares examples of his own perfect moments, family adventures, exploring art, unique dining experiences.
It's so inspiring.
He encourages us to brainstorm our own perfect moments and to make them a priority in our lives.
It's such a beautiful concept.
It is.
It's about finding those things that truly spark joy for us and making sure that we actually incorporate them into our lives no matter how busy we get. It's about creating a life that feels rich and meaningful both for ourselves and for those we care about.
And it doesn't have to be extravagant or expensive.
Right.
It's about finding those simple pleasures
Yes.
that make life worth living. It could be as simple as taking a walk in nature or having a meaningful conversation with a friend or listening to your favorite music.
That's right.
It's about being present and savoring those moments of joy. So we've covered a lot of ground in this first part of our deep dive into the World Changers Manifesto. We've explored the importance of self-belief, the power of daily routines, and the impact of choosing our social network wisely. We've discussed the idea of focusing on depth over breadth, constantly seeking new knowledge, and embracing a giver mentality. It's been an incredibly insightful journey so far, and I'm excited to continue exploring Sharma's ideas in the next part of our deep dive. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. As we continue our deep dive into the World Changers Manifesto, I'm really struck by how Sharma emphasizes the importance of self-discipline, as a tool for personal mastery.
Yeah, it's interesting because we often think of self-discipline as kind of this restrictive force.
Right.
But he actually frames it as the key to unlocking freedom
Yes.
and achieving our goals.
It's a bit of a paradox, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We tend to associate, I think, discipline with limitations.
Yeah.
But he's arguing that it's about mastering ourselves so that we can master our lives.
Right. And he suggests it's not even like an innate quality,
Hmm.
but it's more like a muscle that we develop through practice,
Okay.
consistent effort.
So it's not about being born with like superhuman willpower.
Right.
It's about cultivating that inner strength over time.
Exactly.
What are some practical ways he recommends for building self-discipline?
Well, he emphasizes the importance of setting clear intentions and goals,
Okay.
creating what he calls a tight bubble of total focus,
I like that.
right?
Yeah.
It's about eliminating distractions and designing an environment that supports those goals.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about being intentional with our time and energy and focusing on what truly matters. But sometimes, even with clear goals, it's hard to stay motivated. Does he address that?
He does. He does. He provides some really practical tips, I think, for developing self-discipline. Things like setting daily routines, breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable steps, and, rewarding ourselves for progress.
It's about creating systems and structures that support our efforts and make it easier to stay on track.
I like that idea of breaking things down into smaller steps.
Yeah.
Because it can feel overwhelming when you look at a big goal.
Absolutely.
But if you can chunk it down into those bite-sized pieces, it suddenly seems much more achievable.
Right.
Now, he also stresses the importance of self-care, right?
He does, and it's a crucial aspect of self-discipline that often gets overlooked. We tend to focus so much on pushing ourselves to the limit,
Yeah.
but Sharma reminds us that true self-discipline also involves understanding our limits and taking care of ourselves.
So it's about finding that balance.
Yes.
Between pushing ourselves and being kind to ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about getting enough sleep, eating nutritious foods, taking breaks to recharge. It's
Yeah.
about recognizing that we can't pour from an empty cup.
Right.
That self-care is essential for sustaining our efforts over the long term.
That resonates with me. Sometimes I get so caught up in trying to be productive that I forget to take care of myself. It's like I'm running a marathon and expecting to finish without taking any water breaks.
Right.
It's simply not sustainable.
Not at all.
Now, Sharma also acknowledges that the journey of self-discipline isn't always easy.
Of course not.
Right.
No. No.
He reminds us that there will be setbacks and challenges along the way.
Absolutely.
And I appreciate that honesty. It's reassuring to know that even someone like Sharma, who seems to have mastered self-discipline, recognizes that it's an ongoing process.
Right.
With its own set of challenges.
It's a journey.
Yeah, it is.
And he encourages us, to embrace those challenges, to develop resilience, perseverance, knowing that every obstacle we overcome makes us stronger.
So it's about reframing failure as a stepping stone rather than a roadblock.
Exactly.
It's recognizing that we learn and grow from our mistakes. The journey is just as important as the destination. Now, he also reminds us that we're not alone in this journey. He dedicates a whole chapter to how to pick your social network,
Right.
arguing that the people we spend time with have a profound impact
Huge.
on our thoughts, our beliefs, and behaviors.
Absolutely.
That makes so much sense. It's like we absorb the energy and mindsets of those around us.
You do.
So it's crucial to be intentional about who we allow into our inner circle.
Yeah.
We need to surround ourselves with people who lift us up,
Right.
challenge us to grow,
Yeah.
and support our dreams.
Precisely. And he suggests seeking out mentors and role models, joining groups and communities that align with our values.
Yeah.
And being willing to, let go of relationships that no longer serve us.
Ooh, that's a tough one.
It is. It is. But it's about creating an environment that nourishes our growth and well-being.
That idea of letting go of relationships that no longer serve us can be tough, but it's so important. Sometimes we hold on to relationships out of obligation or guilt, but it's crucial to recognize that we have the right to choose who we spend our time with and to create a social circle that supports our growth and well-being.
And he connects this focus on cultivating a positive social network back to his emphasis on giving.
Okay.
It's not just about receiving support. It's about being a source of support for others.
Right. It's about shifting from a taker mentality to a giver mentality.
Exactly. And it's not just about altruism, He argues that true success is not just about personal achievement. It's about making a difference.
Right.
Contributing to something larger than ourselves. He encourages us to find ways to provide value to others, to make a positive contribution to our communities and, the world at large.
He calls this leading without a title, doesn't he?
He does. He does. It's the idea that leadership is not about position or authority. It's about taking initiative, inspiring others, making a positive impact, regardless of our role or status.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that we all have the potential to be leaders
Yes.
in our own unique ways.
Yes.
And that leadership is not limited to those with formal titles
Right.
or positions of power. It's about finding those opportunities to make a difference, no matter where we are in life. Whether it's volunteering in our community or mentoring a colleague or simply being a kind and supportive friend, there are countless ways to lead without a title
Absolutely.
and to make a positive impact on the world around us.
And this leads to another important aspect of his philosophy,
Okay.
which is the power of learning and continuous growth.
Oh, he is such a strong advocate for lifelong learning.
He is.
He argues that in today's rapidly changing world, it's more important than ever to constantly be expanding our knowledge and skills.
It's about staying curious, seeking out new information, new perspectives, challenging ourselves to grow and evolve. He even suggests that learning can add 100 years to our lives.
Wait, what? Is he talking about like some kind of longevity secret?
No, not in the literal sense.
Okay.
He's actually referring to the power of learning to expand our perspectives
Okay.
and experiences.
So it's like we're able to live multiple lifetimes within our own
Exact.
by tapping into the accumulated knowledge and experiences of others. I love how he says, when you spend time reading philosophy, you can add 1,000 years to your life.
Right.
Yeah.
It's such a powerful way to describe how learning can enrich and expand our lives.
It is.
And it reminds us that even though our time on Earth is finite, our potential for growth and learning is limitless.
I love that perspective.
Yeah,
It's so empowering to think that we can continue to grow and learn
absolutely.
throughout our lives, and that there's always something new to discover. What are some practical ways he suggests for incorporating learning into our daily lives?
He offers a range of ideas, from reading books and articles, listening to podcasts like this one,
Of course.
attending workshops and conferences, even just having conversations with people who are different from us. It's about making learning a habit,
Okay.
integrating it into everything we do.
So it's about being intentional about seeking out new knowledge and experiences,
Yeah.
making time for learning even amidst our busy schedules.
Absolutely. And he reminds us that learning is not just about acquiring information. It's about applying that knowledge,
Right.
using it to make a positive impact. It's about turning information into action and using our knowledge to serve others, create a better world.
So it's not just about filling our heads with information.
Right.
It's about using that information to make a difference.
Exactly. It's about letting our learning guide our actions and inspire us to create positive change in the world.
Now, in addition to emphasizing lifelong learning, he also provides some really practical advice for making the most of our time, right?
He does. He does.
He shares his 60 tips for a stunningly great life.
Yes. And they cover a wide range of topics.
Yeah.
From practical things like exercising daily, getting enough sleep, to, more philosophical ideas like practicing gratitude,
Right.
being authentic.
Sounds like a great mix of actionable advice and inspiring reminders.
It really highlights his holistic approach to personal growth. He recognizes that true well-being encompasses all aspects of our lives. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual.
Yeah, it's about finding that balance and integrating all these different elements
Yes.
into a life that feels meaningful,
Absolutely.
fulfilling. It's not about neglecting one area for the sake of another,
Right.
but about nurturing all aspects of our being.
And he emphasizes the importance of living with intention and purpose. Making conscious choices that align with our values create the life we truly desire.
So it's about taking ownership of our lives
Yes.
and creating a legacy that reflects who we are at our core.
Absolutely.
It's about living a life that feels authentic,
Yes.
meaningful, not just going through the motions. Now, as we delve deeper into his philosophy, he reminds us that the journey of personal growth is not always linear.
Oh, of course not.
Right.
It's messy.
It's not always a straight path from point A to point B.
Yeah.
There will be ups and downs, successes and setbacks. But he encourages us to embrace the messiness of the process
Yes.
and to view challenges as opportunities for learning and growth.
It's about having the courage to step outside our comfort zones,
Mhm.
embrace the unknown, knowing that true growth often happens when we push ourselves beyond our perceived limitations.
And he reminds us that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone on the path to achieving our goals.
Yes.
It's about developing resilience and perseverance.
Absolutely.
Knowing that every time we fall, we have the opportunity to rise stronger and wiser.
That's right. It's about learning from our mistakes and using them as fuel for growth.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that setbacks are an inevitable part of the journey.
Yeah,
And that it's not about avoiding failure, it's about how we respond to it.
exactly. And he provides some really powerful insights on how to overcome fear and embrace the challenges that come with pursuing our dreams. He actually shares a story, I love this story, about a mountain climber who was paralyzed by fear in the darkness,
Oh,
thinking he was on a ledge with like a 1,000-meter drop.
right.
But when daylight came, he realized he was perfectly safe.
Wow.
It was just his perception of fear that had created the danger.
It's a powerful metaphor
It is.
for how our fears can often hold us back from realizing our full potential, and how those fears are often based on our perceptions rather than reality.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that fear is unnatural human emotion,
Of course.
but that it doesn't have to control us.
Absolutely. And he provides some practical tips for cultivating fearlessness. Things like visualizing success, breaking down challenges into smaller steps, surrounding ourselves with supportive people.
Right? It's about shifting our mindset from fear to courage
Yes.
and developing the resilience to face our fears head on.
He reminds us that true courage is not the absence of fear.
Right.
It's about feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
It's about having the courage to step into the unknown and pursue our dreams, even when we're afraid. And as we explore his insights on overcoming fear, he also highlights the importance of connecting with our own mortality.
Hmm.
And this might seem like a strange topic
Yeah.
for a self-help book, but he argues that recognizing the finite nature of our lives
Right.
can actually be a powerful motivator
Yes.
for living more fully and intentionally. He suggests cemetery walking as a life mastery tool.
Interesting.
It's about taking time to reflect on the brevity of life
Hmm.
and to consider what truly matters to us. He encourages us to ask ourselves, what would I regret not doing if I knew I only had a limited time left?
Wow, that's a powerful question.
It is. It's a powerful way to gain clarity on our values and priorities,
Yeah.
motivate ourselves to take action on the things that truly matter. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity to a mindset of abundance,
Right.
recognizing that we have a limited time on Earth and choosing to make the most of every moment.
It's about living each day as if it were a gift.
Yeah.
And making choices that align with our deepest values and aspirations. Now, as we kind of wrap up this second part of our deep dive into the World Changers Manifesto, I think it's important to reflect on that core message
Yeah.
that he's trying to convey. He's essentially offering us this roadmap
Uh-huh.
for living a more intentional, fulfilling, and impactful life.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing our own inherent greatness,
Yes.
cultivating self-discipline, overcoming fear, and making a positive contribution to the world around us.
It's about embracing our potential as world changers, right?
Yeah,
Using our unique talents and gifts to create a better future.
absolutely. We'll be right back for the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back. You know, as we wrap up our deep dive into the World Changers Manifesto, I keep thinking about how Sharma weaves this idea of embracing our potential as world changers throughout the whole book, it seems like.
Yeah, it's like he's building up to this point, giving us all the tools and insights so that we can actually go out and make a real impact on the world.
He talks about unleashing our heroic potential, this idea that we all have the capacity for greatness and making a positive difference, but it feels overwhelming
Right.
to think about changing the world. Like, where do we even begin?
He emphasizes that it's not about waiting for some grand opportunity or anything.
Okay.
It's about finding those small, everyday ways to contribute. He says, lead where we're planted. Find those opportunities for leadership and impact, like in our current roles and circumstances.
So it's not about needing a specific title or position.
No, not at all. He argues that being a world changer is about aligning with our core values and expressing our unique talents and gifts, regardless of, our job title or social status.
That's a really empowering message. It means that we all have the potential to make a difference.
We do.
Right here, right now, no matter where we are in life. But what does world-changing actually look like? Does he give any, specific examples?
He does. He highlights those inspiring figures like Steve Jobs, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, but he also celebrates those, everyday heroes, the ones who are making a difference in their own quiet ways.
Right.
He points out that world changing can take many forms. from grand gestures to just small acts of kindness and service.
I like that he acknowledges those everyday acts of world changing.
Yeah.
It makes this whole concept feel much more accessible,
Yeah.
attainable. It's not just about curing diseases or solving global crises.
Right.
It's about making a positive impact in our own spheres of influence, however big or small they may be.
He's reminding us that each of us has something unique to offer the world.
Yeah.
That even seemingly small actions can have a ripple effect, creating positive change that extends far beyond ourselves.
That's a beautiful thought. It makes me think about those people in my own life who have made a difference.
Mm.
Not through, grand gestures, but through their kindness, their compassion, their willingness to help others.
Right.
They might not consider themselves world changers, but their impact is undeniable.
It's a good reminder that world changing isn't always about making headlines or achieving some grand feat. It's often about those small, consistent acts of love, service, generosity that actually make the world a better place, one interaction at a time.
Absolutely. Now, Sharma also acknowledges that the journey of becoming a world changer isn't always easy.
Right.
There will be challenges,
Right.
obstacles along the way. How does he address that?
Well, he encourages us to embrace those challenges, as opportunities for growth, to remember that every setback is a chance to learn and improve.
Mhm.
He stresses the importance of developing resilience, perseverance, knowing that the path to greatness is often paved with challenges.
So it's about reframing those challenges as stepping stones
Yes.
rather than roadblocks. It's about recognizing that growth often happens outside of our comfort zones, and that overcoming those obstacles can make us stronger, more capable.
He also reminds us that, we're not alone on this journey.
Mm.
We have the support of our families, our friends, mentors, communities. He encourages us to seek out those who inspire us and surround ourselves with people who believe in our potential.
It's about building that network of support that will encourage us and sustain us along the way,
Right.
knowing that we don't have to do it all alone. As we wrap up our deep dive into the World Changers Manifesto, I think it's important to highlight that powerful message of hope and possibility that Sharma conveys.
It's beautiful.
He's reminding us that we're all capable of greatness,
Yes.
that we all have the potential to make a positive impact on the world. It's a call to action, to embrace our unique talents and gifts, and to use them to create a better future for ourselves and for generations to come.
And to leave you with one final thought from Sharma, he says, think like a warrior, behave like a genius, and love like a saint.
Wow. What a powerful reminder of the potential that lies within each of us.
It really is.
It's an invitation to step into our power, to embrace our brilliance, and to live a life that is both meaningful and impactful. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the World Changers Manifesto.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you found it as inspiring and insightful as we did.
We encourage you to take these ideas
Yes.
and put them into action. Go out there and be the world changer you were born to be.